Thank you for showing up. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to speak with us. No problem, CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki. What can I do for you? Yes, well, let me be brief. We here at YouTube would like you to return. Return? Return to what? I mean, I've been streaming every now and then, so I kind of have returned. No, you're not quite understanding me. We don't want you to return. We want the Birmingham SPRITZEE to return. Wait, you want the Birmingham SPRITZEE to return? Why? Let's just say that one of our new employees has a big soft spot for the Birmingham SPRITZEE and would like to see them return to the platform. Wait, slow down. So you've got a new employee, and that new employee wants to bring back the Birmingham SPRITZEE. I don't understand. Who is this new employee? Fine. Jeeves, can you send in the new employee, please? Come in.
Alright, Susan. Alright, dickhead. It's been a long time. How you doing?
Swagnet? What? How? What? You work for YouTube now? What the hell?
You're damn right I work for YouTube now, and it's the best job in the world. I get to choose what gets monetized and what doesn't. All I have to do is click one button and an entire channel loses its entire monetization. It's amazing. If I don't like a creator, all I have to do is click one button and poof, you're out of here, mate. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, but how?
Listen, yeah. I'll tell you all about it at some other point. But for now, you are going to bring back the Birmingham SPRITZEE, and you are going to make videos again.
But I'm not even in any draft leagues. There's no way for me to bring back the Birmingham SPRITZEE.
Oh, don't you worry about that. I've found a league for you to join, and you are going to do well. Let me introduce to you the UPBA.
How is it going, guys? What is up, Pokemon fans? It is I, your boy, Onesiebanette, here with the draft analysis for, yes, draft analysis for a Wi-Fi draft league, the UPBA. Now, it's been a very, very long time since I actually did videos and draft leagues together in the same place, in harmony. But today, we have that, and I'm going to talk you through my draft, so you know exactly what I have, exactly what I can bring, and exactly why I brought and drafted what I wanted to. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. Shout out to Jack Gray, who was one of the commissioners of the UPBA, who basically gave me my shot and allowed me in. So, that's kind of cool. So, yeah, without further ado, let me show you what we drafted. So, are you ready to see it? Are you absolutely sure that you're ready to see it? Because our first mon that we have drafted is Urshifu Single Strike, who is apparently Urshifu Triple S. Single Strike. Super Single Strike. Might as well be Super Single Strike, because this thing hits like a freaking truck. Yeah, I had second pick in the draft. I said to myself, I'm not sure what I want to get, but I had to think, I had a look at what was available, and I saw that Urshifu Single Strike was available, and I decided to get it. 18 points, why not? I was very lucky this thing didn't get taken. I was behind Jack Gray, Gravy, the Vancouver Titans in the draft, who, as you can see on the bottom left of your screen right now, the little Tangler icon. I was behind them in the draft order, and they decided they were going to try for Dragapult round one, which was something I was interested in if this thing had went. So for me, I was either going to get Dragapult or get Urshifu Single Strike. Dragapult went, so I got Urshifu Single Strike. This thing hits like a truck. It has U-turn, momentum. You can just slap a band on it every week, and it'll still basically force switches. You can slap a scarf on it, and it can just clean up games. You can't really intimidate this mon because of Wicked Blow. Yeah, it's just a fun choice, so I decided to bring it and draft it. So our captain for the season, our round one draft pick, Urshifu Single Strike, named Don Broco. So Don Broco, the Urshifu Single Strike. Now, the second mon that we decided to draft, there were a few cool things that went, a few things that I was very interested in taking. So I had a look at what was around, and I saw that we had the one and only Spectrier around. Ghost Horse. I love the Ghost Horse. Don't you love the Ghost Horse? This thing can just snowball games. It's a special attacker, hits really hard, really fast, has setup. 15 points, I think, is an absolute steal. You can run it basically a couple of different ways. It has some interesting coverage options that can be quite useful in certain matchups, like it's got Mudshot, it's got Dark Pulse, you can run Sub Will-O-Wisp and Hex. You can run a little bit of bulk on it against slower teams because it does have that natural speed. And I thought it paired up quite well with Urshifu because Urshifu basically destroys dark types and switches into them really well, and normal types. SPRITZEE struggles with dark and normal types, so they kind of complement each other fairly well. So yeah, your vice captain for this season is the Ghost Horse SPRITZEE, who I have no idea what I named it, but yeah. We have the SPRITZEE for the round 2. Now, I had a conversation during the draft, well, before the draft, talked about certain mons I think should have price changes, and one of them that I decided I thought was a little bit undervalued, shall we say, was Volcarona. So it hadn't gone by round 3, and I'd talked up a big game about it. So I thought, why not? Let's just draft it. Let's see what we can do with it. 16 points for Volcarona, which I think I should not have been arguing for this thing to have a higher price. I think 16 is probably a fair price. I was a little bit salty because I was a ladder player and I've been swept by more Volcaronas than, you know, I can shake a stick at. It's a bit of a matchup fish. If Volcarona is good against the team that you're playing, it wins games. If it's not great, it does nothing and just gets walled out of the match into oblivion. So it's a little bit of a confusion, a little bit of a matchup fish there. But Volcarona's cool. I called it Mothra because why not? And it was 16 points, so I decided to draft it. It does have U-turn. It can be run as a more bulky setup sweeper. It can be run as a fast specs, fast life orb. It doesn't even need to run setup if it doesn't want to. It can just run whatever the hell it wants, and you can do whatever the heck you want with it. So Volcarona is the next one on our draft. We decided to draft Volcarona, and it's going to be really cool. So I was worried about my points, if I'm being totally honest. I was very worried about my points because, as you can see, I've already spent a grand total of 49 points in... Is it 49? I think 49 points in 3 rounds. So if I keep this up, I'll draft 6 mons and I'll have no points left. So I had a look at what was left. I really wanted to draft a Regenerator mon because they're really good with Urshifu, because you can just basically pivot in. I was really hoping I could snag Slowbro, because Slowbro would have been awesome. But Slowbro had gone in round 2, and I had a look and I was like, there's not really very many Regenerator mons left. So I had a look at what Regenerator mons were around, and I thought, you know what, I don't have either of these 2 types. I've never used this mon before, and decided to draft Slowbro Galarian. Yeah, Regenerator core with Urshifu Single Strike is pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. You can U-turn away with Urshifu, go out into Slowbro to take a hit, and just do things. Urshifu does not like fairy types. Slowbro loves them. Slowbro does not like dark types. Urshifu loves them. So I thought the synergy there was cool. Does compound a little bit of a ghost weakness and a dark weakness that I do have with SPRITZEE, but I thought Urshifu's offensive pressure against those types would have been enough to kind of justify me doing this. And a Regenerator mon to switch in and take hits against Urshifu, against SPRITZEE, would have been really, really useful here. So I thought Slowbro was kind of a natural fit. I would have loved to have gotten base Slowbro because it's a bit more defensive than this guy, but Slowbro Galarian should still do the trick. I'm looking forward to seeing what this thing does. It does have the shell sidearm, so I could do some quick draw shenanigans if I'd like, but I don't think I'll do that. I might do, depends on the matchup, but yeah, Slowbro Galarian is the next mon on this team. So a little bit of a budget there. I did not have a water type yet, which was what I really wanted, and I figured, why not just, you know, draft a mon that I've used plenty of times, I have a lot of experience using, can go offensive or defensive. Saw it was still available, and decided to grab Swampert. Swampert is a cool guy. Swampert is a fun mon. I love Flip Turn, I love Earthquake, I love Stealth Rocks, I love Toxic, I love Swampert. Honestly, I thought that this mon would do quite well because, well, Flip Turn is great and it gives me rocks options. It gives me a little bit of a fat option to deal with more bulky attackers like Melmetal, because there is a team that's drafted Melmetal, so it does give me an option to switch into that quite effectively. Swampert's quite good as a specially defensive mon as well, which should allow me to be able to switch into mons like Heatran quite well, and yeah, just a bunch of cool stuff like that really. It's a more physical orientated mon, but it does have Sludge Wave and Ice Beam and a Scald and a bunch of really cool coverage options. and it allows me to keep momentum. So at this point in time, I was quite happy with my 5. But as you can see, I've only got 50 points left in the top right if you look at the budget. So we're in trouble. And now I basically have to try and use a little bit of constraint in my picks. So I had a look what was around. I thought what will benefit the team quite well and decided to draft Flygon. Because another ground type, a dragon type as well. Flygon does give me defog options, allows me to run some extra setup with Dragon Dance. It can be offensive or defensive. It works in both roles. It has U-turns to keep the momentum, which is what this team really likes so far. Shifu's U-turns are fantastic at keeping momentum. So is Swampert's flip turns. And I thought it would be cool. I'd have chances to get into this thing and set up. And yeah, if I need a bulky defogger, I can kind of run it like that. I wouldn't want to, but I can do. And it just gave me a little bit more versatility without really offering, compromising on the offensive capability, as well as being able to offer a lot more to the team than a lot of the other Pokemon that were still around at the time. But yeah, it was only 9 points. I figured if I start being a little bit more conservative, Flygon's not a terrible pick. It can, do fun things. It can run through teams in the right options. A Scarf Flygon with Earthquake could be quite cool at some point. I could run some Yashe Berry shenanigans. Yeah, I just really like Flygon, and it works really well here. So, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So 41 points left, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Pokemon left that we can still draft. So I had a look at what was left, decided I wanted to draft something a little bit more defensive, then threw it out the window and drafted Delmise. I wanted some removal options. I didn't want to have to rely on Flygon to get rid of things all the time. Delmise is surprisingly bulky. It does have Synthesis as a natural healing option. It does have Rapid Spin. It's very offensive. It can hit really hard with Steel Worker, Anchor Shot. It can basically force 1v1s, which I really like, and gain me momentum. I just really like Delmise. It's a little bit of a difficult Pokemon on this team, because if I'm using it for its defensive capabilities, I'm not going to have as much of a good time, but if I can find the right matchup to be able to get Delmise in safely against, I should have a really fun time with this Mon. Yeah, it gives me more physical offense, which, to be honest, I don't really need. I have Urshifu, I have Swampert, I have Flygon, but Delmise gives me a little bit of a breaker. I have Urshifu to break, but if I need to run Scarf Urshifu at any point, Delmise can do the job and fill in as like a physical type breaker with Power Whip and Shadow Claw and Anchor Shot, and it should just be able to help me kind of break teams as well as give me a reliable removal option, basically. Yeah, and it gives me a grass type, which I didn't already have. A little bit more synergy with the rest of the team. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with Delmise. We'll see how he goes. He's probably the least set in stone Mon on this team that I could possibly go with, but I'm not too disappointed. We'll see. If Delmise is good, we'll keep it. If it's not, we'll get rid of it and say, F you. You know what I mean. So, Mon number 8. We have 32 left for 5. So if you divide 32 by 5, you're going to have a tough time. It basically comes out at about 6, 5.5, 6 per Mon. Well, actually, no, it's like 6 per Mon, yeah. It's about 6.3, 6.4. So we're kind of shopping in the bargain basement at this point. So Mon number 8, Mon number 8 needed to be a little bit more constrained. But we didn't want to do that. I thought this thing was still around. I know I already have a water type, but I don't have a fairy type. And Azumarill can do a really good job on this team. I figured another offensive physical breaker to kind of just bash through teams. I can run a triple offensive core here with Urshifu, Delmise, and Azumarill here. It gives me a fairy type, which I don't already have. It gives me some priority with Aqua Jet. It gives me some more setup potential with late game. And I figured that it could just really do some cool stuff. At this point, I'm happy with my offensive parts of the team. I need a little bit more support and a little bit more fat in order to make sure that I can use the offensive mons to their best potential. And Azumarill can just do a really good job on this team. I'm happy with it. If it hadn't been taken, I probably would have played it a little bit safer with the draft at this point. but you know what? I'm happy with it. So, yeah, it was around. We have 17 points to spend over 4 mons, which is basically like 4 points per mon. So, what we decided to draft next, we had to be a bit more conservative. We had to be a little bit more careful with what we spent our money on, and we decided to draft Meowstick. Now, Meowstick is only a 2-point mon, but at this point I could see it going quite quickly, so I decided to draft it and see what we had left to fill in the gaps. Now, Meowstick is great. I love the fact that it's got Prankster screens, which meshes really, really well with Spectrier, Volcarona, and Azumarill. It just allows them to set up really effectively. It also has Prankster Thunderwave to mess up any incoming threats. If you know me, you know I love using Onesiebanette because it has the ability to act as insurance policy against setup sweepers. Meowstick can kind of act like that in a way. With Prankster Thunderwave and Prankster Screens, it can basically say, you know what, you're not going to have an easy ride, you've got to get through me first and give the rest of the team license to breathe. It's not quite as good at this job as Onesiebanette, which I am a little bit sad at, but it will do the trick very well. I can basically be happy with Meowstick on this team. I've got to be careful of dark types, obviously, because Prankster doesn't, like, Prankster Thunderwave won't work against them, so it's not as good. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Gives me screens, and we're more than happy. So we've decided that we've got 3 mons left. 3 mons left with 15. That's 5 points per mon. So what did we decide to draft next? Wigglytuff. I love myself some Wigglytuff. It gives me a normal type to switch into ghost types. It gives me a proper fat fairy, so I don't have to use Azumarill defensively. It gives me Wish passing with Wish and Teleport, which it does get. It gives me a Cleric option with Heal Bell. It has some insane coverage options, if we're being totally honest. It gets stuff like Fire Blast and Ice Beam and Thunderbolt. Yeah, Wigglytuff's just really cool. I can use some cool competitive sets as well to use its coverage offensively. I can try a setup with Carmine at some point, and it does give me defensive fat momentum. Wigglytuff is probably going to get a little bit overwhelmed on this team if I try to use it purely as a defensive Pokemon, as a way to, switch in and take hits. But in a pinch, I feel like it can do the job quite effectively, and combined with, say, Slowbro and Swampert, if I run that defensively, and Dhelmise, I feel like I should have the coverage to be able to do what I need to do on this team. So I'm not too disappointed, quite happy with that, and Wigglytuff is the next member of this team, which we're going to name Yuntar. Man, I love Wigglytuff. I really love this thing. One thing I will say, it also gives me a fantastic switch into Dragapult, because Dragapult literally cannot touch this thing unless it runs Steel Wing, which... Who's running Steel Wing on Dragapult? If you're running Steel Wing, you probably shouldn't be running Dragapult. But yes, Wigglytuff is the next member of our team. And finally, we have 13 points left to spend on 2 Pokemon. So I had a look at what was around, and I decided I wanted to go for one fairly expensive Pokemon and one a bit more supportive defensive type. So the next mon on the team that we decided to draft was Mawile. So we're saving our big pointer for last. Mawile, I think I might be dropping at some point in the draft. I did only really draft it because it gets Rocks, it gets Intimidate, and it is a Steel type that works basically as a Steel type with some extra resistances. So it's a Steel type that's not weak to fighting. It's a Steel type that doesn't really care about a lot of physical attacks. It can switch into them quite effectively. It's not the bulkiest in the world, so I shan't really be using it as a bulky Pokemon very often. It's got decent defense stat. It's got kind of garbage HP. So I probably will be dropping it at some point, but I figured it could work as like a makeshift check in some early matchups that we have. So that was a thing that happened. So we drafted Mawile, we've got some Stealth Rocks, we can use it a bit more offensively with Sheer Force if we get the chance. And yeah, I just thought it would be cool on this draft. So Mawile's here, a bit of a placeholder mon, maybe seeing him be swapped out later on, but I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the 3 2-pointers, which saves up 11 points left to draft what I think is probably going to be the piece de resistance, probably the most effective member for the team that I could probably think of, Magnezone. Magnezone didn't get drafted, so I figured it would be the perfect Pokemon. I had a look at what this team needed. I have screens, but I would like another way of doing them. I don't have an electric type. I don't really have much bulk. This thing can kind of work as an extra steel type. bit more of an offensive one. It just plugged a bunch of holes that my team needed. If I want to, I can run Light Clay Screens Magnezone with Explosion. If I want to, I can run Analytics Specs. If I want to, I can run Body Press Iron Defense. If I want to, I can run Scarf. If I want to, I can run Defensive or Offensive. I just think Magnezone does a hell of a lot here for me. The thing is a really, really good stopgap for a lot of things that I needed and some gaps I had in my team. There are still some gaps in the team that I don't have. For example, I don't have an Ice type. I don't really have a Flying type. I have Flygon, which is like an honorary Flying type. So if I could have found a way to get those in the team, I probably will. I might make some changes later on, but I'm happy with this, honestly. I'm really happy with this draft. It's got punching power. It's got a little bit of setup. It's got a lot of momentum. It's got a little bit of everything, really. So I'm happy with it. I really, really am, and I really think that we could be doing some cool things with this. So yeah, that is the Birmingham Spritzees draft for the UPBA Season 3, as you can see. And this is what we're going to be rolling with. So yeah, look forward to the first match. We're going to be doing some fun skits, so keep an eye out for those. And we're going to be doing some really cool stuff with that. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been Onesiebanette. You've been beautiful. And I will see you in the next episode of whatever I make. If you could hit that subscribe button and hit that bell, I would love you forever. If you don't, I may come to your house and punch you in the face. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.